Hello and welcome to this first firefight episode of the Chronicles. Now, if you don't know what this is all about, please go back and watch the introduction to the Chronicles, and that will tell you exactly what we're doing today. But I'll give you a very brief outline. In setting the scene, we will build a small section or portion of a battlefield and show you how to build that, the way the channel builds the boards. And then we will then use that same setting to play out a few dice rolls against certain units. Now, I appreciate, it's a bit weird at the moment, and we've obviously had to cancel all of the up-and-coming games we had planned with guests for the channel. So we've cancelled 3 months worth of games. We had a game every Saturday, and then Boris and I had some extracurricular activities planned during the week, which we've had to cancel now. So what we have done, or what I have done now, is develop this new series of games just to give you guys some content, and hopefully it will be a little bit insightful for you. One thing to mention as well is there is going to be a third episode to the Chronicles every week, and that will be back to school, and we will talk about some circumstances that have arose in games that I've played and I've been caught out on, or I haven't quite understood something. So I'm going to try and explain those to you as best as I can. But as I say, we'll crack on. This is Firefight, and we're going to explore the humble tactical squad. Now, just give you a very brief overview. When I started in the Heresy nearly 6-7 years ago, I loved the fact that you could buy 20 tactical marines armed with bolters and then just fire the hell out of something and hopefully bring it down through weight of numbers. There's no doubt that we all love rolling dice. And what better iconic weapon to use in games of Heresy is the bolter. Now, one thing I have noticed over the years of playing Heresy, a lot more specialised units have started to come into the game. We've got things like destroyers, and lots of other special units, special terminators and special units have come out for specific legions, and the tactical marine has kind of fell by the wayside a little bit. The armies out there are quite infantry heavy at the moment, and they're quite elite based as well. Lots of terminators, lots of special units, as I mentioned. But I think the absolute backbone of a Heresy army is its tactical unit, and the fact that it can go in a Spartan or in a transport with an assault capability, or in a Rhino. And there's a lot to be said for a Marine with a bolter sat in a Rhino. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and highlight some of the benefits of the tactical unit to you, and try and encourage those big blobs of tactical units back. In no other game can you take 20 Space Marines. It's absolutely fantastic. Now, a lot of you will say, well, David, it's all very well you preaching to us about tactical Marines, but you've got a Mechanicum army. Yes, I absolutely have got a Mechanicum army, but there are plans afoot to acquire 2 Space Marine armies for the channel. I'm personally working on a Death Guard army, or we're about to. I've enlisted in the help of Miles David from Little Legend, and he's going to take me through the process of painting Marines. I'm not very good at painting Marines, I'll be honest. So he's going to teach me his ways, and hopefully I'll be able to produce a reasonable Death Guard army for you. And then we do have a secret project in the works with Little Legend. I don't want to go into too much detail with it at the moment, but he will be painting an army for the channel. It's going to be about 4,000-5,000 points, and I personally am so excited. I love Miles's aesthetic, and I think it fits perfectly with the channel's aesthetic as well. You may or may not notice, but the channel has become a sponsor of Little Legend as well, which I'm really, really proud of. Miles and I have been discussing lots of things over the last few months about doing stuff together, and it's finally starting to come through. So you'll see more of that coming up. I don't want to give too much away just yet. Anyway, back to the Tactical Marine. So in this small segment, we are going to demonstrate the full effective firepower of an Imperial Fist 20-man tactical Marine unit. They're all armed with bolters, apart from the Sergeant, who's been equipped with a Power Fist, of course, Artificer armor, and a bolt pistol. The squad also has a Vexilla. What I've tried to do, I've tried to match the points as best as possible. So we've got 255 points of Imperial Fists, 260 points of Imperial Fists, and 255 points of Thalax. The Thalax consists of 3 Thalax cohort, 135 points, then each additional Thalax thereafter is worth 40 points, taking their total to 255. I haven't brought any optional extras for the Thalax, and again, I've just tried to arm the units as they most typically would. You know, I could have given the Sergeant a power sword, and he would have been exactly 255 points to match the Thalax, but we are paying Imperial Fist. They had to take a fist, surely, power fist. But in this case, it doesn't really matter because we're just demonstrating firepower. We might get into combat a little bit later on in the series, not necessarily here, but we just want to show the virtues of the bolter. If we have a quick look at the bolter stats, it's 24-inch range, can rapid fire up to 12 inches, it's strength 4, and has an AP of 5. You know, 2 shots from a bolter is fantastic. And when you combine it with Fury of the Legion, they get 4 shots up to 12 inches. So a 20-man tactical unit can pump out 80 shots. That is madness. At half range, of course, you're only pumping out 40 shots, but that's still nothing to sniff at. And I appreciate it might be a little bit boring just watching me roll dice, but you know, I have to produce some sort of content, and I can't play a game on my own. So, and I'm not too keen about doing a game over the internet. I don't think the internet speed is quite there, and I think it's a little bit boring. So, unfortunately, you've got to listen to me drone on about it. So, if we have a look at the squad, we've got 20 tactical marines and a sergeant sat in this fortified position with the Thalax coming at the Imperial Fist. So there will be 80 bolter shots flying out into the Thalax, but -2, of course, because the sergeant doesn't have a bolter. He's just got a bolt gun, so he'll only be pumping 2 shots. The rest will be firing 4 shots apiece. So the question is, can 80 bolter shots bring down 5 Thalax? I think it's a good bet. You know, you could argue that, you know, if we were going against Space Marines or a Terminator unit, the results might be different, and we will explore that. So the next couple of firefights will literally be focusing on this tactical unit firing into a unit. And I also appreciate as well, it's me rolling the dice. A lot of people have different ways of rolling dice, or they have a different method, or they roll on different surfaces. You just have to take this all with a little pinch of salt, okay? So let's get into it. It's going to be interesting. I have secreted at the back here, I've got 20 dice. So I'm going to roll these in 4 batches. I'll do all the hits first, all the wounds, and then we'll do the armor saves thereafter. I've got a notepad and pen, so there's going to be a lot of administration to keep noting. And hopefully you'll be able to see all those dice rolls up on the left-hand side of the screen, hopefully. So before we go any further quickly, just need to mention that Imperial Fists have the Disciplined Fire special rule, which means that if they're firing a bolt weapon, bolt pistol, bolt gun, or heavy bolter, they hit on 2s, which is a fantastic buff. If you're any of a Legion, you'll need a console upgrade to pass +1 ballistic skill into the squad. There's another, I think it's about 75 points. I'll check those facts though, to get that extra upgrade to give hitting on 2s, and I think that's why the Imperial Fists are an absolutely perfect example of this, and how effective bolter fire can be. We might do it with some other Marines to give you that hitting on 3s, and then we'll compare the results later on in another episode. But we'll see how we get on with this first. All right, let's get into it. I've got 20 dice secreted here at the back of the board. I'm going to start rolling some dice. Discipline Fire from the Imperial Fist, requiring 2s to hit. Oh, that's not too bad. So I only dropped 2 that turn, unbelievably. So we score 18 hits so far. Let's get ready for another 20. Okay, there's a few more 1s in there. So we've, what's that, 4, 3? Yeah, 4. 4 1s we've dropped. So quick maths, of course, so we're on 16 hits so far. The third set of 20. Good shake. Wow, that was a good shake. We dropped 1 there, unbelievably, so 19 hits. And now we're on the final 18, because obviously the sergeant has a bolt pistol, so we'll just take 2 of those dice out, requiring 2s to hit. Oh, got cocked one there, doesn't matter, that's a 2, so 2, 3 misses, unbelievable. So we're on 15. All right, so that was quite devastating. So from those 78 shots, we ended up with 68 hits. That is unbelievable. All right, so the weapon is strength 4. The Thalax are toughness 5, and we need 5s to wound. So let's get those 2 wound rolls done. Okay, so we've got 2, 4, only 6. Wow. So 6 wounds from that roll. Not amazing. Next 20. Okay, not too bad. So we've got there 2, drop 1, excuse me. 2, 3, 4, 6, same again. Wow, okay. Final set of 20, and then we'll do the 8 after that. So again, requiring 5s. Oh wow, that's an amazing roll. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Wow, that is really good. So only dropped 8 from there. Unreal. All right, and now the final 8. So we need 5 to wound, as always. So it picked up 3 there. So to be fair, I just averaged out quite nicely. So 3. So quick tot up at the stores, sale 24. So we had 27 wounds. Not bad. I mean, you know, the difference, 78 to 68 to 27. Now we need to see if the Thalax can hold out. They have a 4-up armor save and a 6-up feel no pain. So let's see what we can do. I've got 20 dice in my hand. See if we can get those 4s. Obviously, don't want any Mechanicum to die, of course. Wow, that's not bad. Not bad at all. So 3, that was a 3, I think I knocked it. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 saves. Unbelievable. And now let's just do some 6-up feel no pain here. Holy hell. All right, so we clawed back another 4. That is unreal. So we killed 1 whole Thalax, which will take off the board here, put him on our dead pile, and 1 Thalax suffered 1 wound. So not bad for those shots. We do have 8 more left, 7 more to go, so let's do those quickly. 4-up armor. Ooh, not as good this time. We only made 3, so we failed 4, and now I need 6-up feel no pain. Okay, so none. So that kills 1 Thalax outright and puts 1 Thalax on 2 wounds. Yeah, so that's not bad, really. I mean, you kind of would have expected the Tactical Marines to wipe out the Thalax there. I thought they were going to. You know, you could argue that the Thalax toughness 5, but then to counter that, the Tactical Marines are hitting on 2s. Not a bad effort. In this circumstance, of course, we will need to take a leadership test from the Thalax. Their leadership 8. Oh, so it was a 1 in the tray. So even if I rolled a 6, it still passed. It's 2. So the Thalax hold firm. Now I know what you're saying. You know, it's quite rare for the full complement of 20 Marines to be in Fury of the Legion fire, and you are right. What tends to happen is that perhaps half the unit in range and half aren't, and by the time they get an opportunity to fire Fury of the Legion, they're perhaps, you know, with turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, and they've lost 4 or 5 members of the squad. So I appreciate this is kind of in a bubble set upon itself, but there are circumstances where they could get their full Fury of the Legion off. Maybe a unit of Marines or Terminators have deep struck in, or something's coming out in a drop pod, the squad has deep struck down, and then you've got Interceptor on the squad via a special character or a piece of equipment. So you still can get those that Fury of the Legion off quite early on in the game. The downside, of course, to Fury of the Legion is that you cannot fire in the next turn. So, but what you can do is you can move and assault. I appreciate if you're firing Fury of the Legion, something is quite probably directly in front of you and about to charge. But it's a great way of whittling them down, ready to receive a charge, and hopefully a diminished squad in the following turn. You know, if we play the scenario out now with the Thalax, you could argue that the Thalax perhaps would be quite far away, wouldn't have suffered to be in range so much of Fury of the Legion, but we can assume maybe they dropped down to try and grab an objective, and then the Imperial Fist have fired upon them. You know, the Thalax are a great unit, but they aren't really well equipped to deal with massed ranks of tactical marines. You could argue you could put a plasma gun in the squad. It's 3 shots in there. But I said I tried to match the points as much as possible. The firepower coming back at the Imperial Fists in this scenario is you've got 3 lightning guns. So let's just play that out very quickly. They need 3s to hit. We hit twice. Strength 7, Shred and Rending. It's AP 4. So we do get Shred, thankfully. Oh god, I failed that as well. So we've got 1 wound come back at the Space Marines at Strength 7. 2s to wound, as you saw. Got 1 wound, and now we need a 3-up save. Yeah, easily made. So those Imperial Fists are sitting pretty in that installation. Thalax now have an opportunity to charge. They're probably not very good in assault. It's probably not worth it. Again, I appreciate this is in a bubble, and if you're putting 6 or 5 Thalax against a 20-man tactical unit, then something's gone wrong somewhere. You would have influence from outside fire, you know, a Thanatar maybe, or, you know, particularly in my army, there's a Kraknos to try and bring down the massed ranks of infantry before the more specialised units get there or try to claim objectives. There's no point going against 20 tactical marines unless you're really tooled up to deal with them. If you can weather that hail of bolt fire and then get in on the charge, if you've got a unit of Terminators or a very well equipped Space Wolf squad, Grey Hunters, or you know, some other specialised unit, then you've got a good chance. I hope that has shed a little bit of light on the tactical unit. I would love to see these come back more into the game. I don't think there's enough of them out there. I would love to see 2 Spartans full of tactical marines, and maybe bolted by an apothecary perhaps, and maybe another character, maybe a Praetor or a couple of Centurions perhaps, just to give them some additional stats or some extra special weapons in the squad. I think it would be really cool to see. I do appreciate that 20 Tac Marines takes a long time to paint, and they're probably not the most exciting unit to paint, but they really are an absolute icon of the heresy. And I just feel that we're losing touch with the tactical unit in favour of more hyper elite, vehicle heavy based armies, which is great. You know, everyone builds their army in whatever way they want, but it'd be great to bring back the tactical squads and showcase them a little bit more. I really hope you've enjoyed this. I must say, this would not have been possible if it wasn't for Dan Porter, who has been on the channel many times. You've seen him before and heard him through the podcast Phosphex Party. He lent me his entire Word Bearers and Imperial Fist army just to tie me over during this period, because obviously we can't film games. So Dan, thank you so much for lending me your army. You know, if not, it was just going to be I don't know, an insight into Mechanicum for the next 3 months, and let's face it, that's going to be really boring. Well, obviously not if you collect Mechanicum, but you know, Heresy is dominated by Space Marines, and I appreciate that. And we noticed that in the viewing figures as well. Mechanicum games aren't that popular, but they are a big part of the Heresy as well. So have to showcase a little bit of everything for a bit of balance, of course. But there's no doubt it's centred around the tactical marines, and Space Marines rather than tactical marines. I'll take a few photos, put them up on the Facebook page. If you would like me to explore any other avenues here, if you want the Imperial Fist to take on a Gavel Back squad or a Terminator unit, I will try and do those for you. I appreciate these shows are sort of 20 minutes long, but it's all I can produce for you right now. But as I said, I hope it's given you some sort of insight, and I hope it's motivated you while you've got time to paint those 20, 40, 60 tactical marines. I will see you in the next one.